Cancer, a very warm welcome. My name is Drew. This is Modern Tarot. Those of you that are new here, welcome. And those of you returning, welcome back. So Cancer, this is all about the last couple of weeks of September. Guys, I must apologize. I've just moved house, so I didn't manage to get your September reads out. But here I am. I'm back in action. So Cancer, what's happening for you, around you, your energy and possible outcomes? And hopefully we've got some good news and some surprises for you along the way, right? So one more shuffle, and I'm going to go straight into this reading. That's done. Okay, so an undercurrent of this reading, Cancer, whatever this might mean for you, you've got the Three of Cups in reverse. You're not about reuniting with somebody. Well, this is a card of lack of celebration. But I'm called to, I don't think there's reuniting on the cards, okay? So let's have a look. The center of the reading, we got the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And so the Ace of Pentacles in the upright, I'm using the Aquarian deck, by the way. It doesn't show up that great on camera, but I chose this deck for you, so I've got to go with it. It's very 1970s artwork. So the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, this is talking about a lack of a stable offer. This can be a financial hit, for example. But this is the center of the reading. And so when I think about, you know, the lack of reuniting and then the Ace of Pentacles, I'm just wondering whether, was it a stable offer or you didn't see stability in an offer, okay? The challenge, we got the Five of Pentacles in reverse, okay? So it's a challenge of you to come out, it's a jumper. It's a challenge you to come out of this feeling of lack. I'm just wondering whether it was a bit disappointing, a situation that you might have been in, work, love, life, where, you know, it wasn't as stable, the offer wasn't as stable as you once thought. You know, Ace of Pentacles in the upright can talk about a promotion, can talk about a windfall, you know, about money, winning the lottery, these kind of things, Ace of Pentacles. It talks about earthly goods, all right, but namely money. And so it's a challenge to come out of this feeling of lack, Cancer, throughout the last couple of weeks of September. Okay, why it's all happening? We've got the Ten of Swords, all right? This can be self-betrayal, but this is, the Ten of Swords is like being stabbed in the back. It's kind of like being duped. You don't see it coming, and then bang, you know, it hits you. Some of you, just be careful, all right? It's not a personal reading, remember, guys. But some of you, you know, you might have been out of work due to back problems, okay? And it's affected your finances and these kind of things, all right? Just for a select few of you, all right? In the recent past, we've got the Knight of Swords here. Incoming, fast communication, Knight of Swords. You know, when we look at the knights in tarot, the Knight of Swords, he says very fast words. He doesn't really think too much about what he's saying. So he'll say things without too much reflection, or he doesn't choose his words carefully. Okay, in the recent past, so fast incoming communication, whatever this might be, might have been a bit of an age difference for some of you if this is about love, okay? Let's have a look here. Your focus, Knight of Wands in reverse, Knight of Rods in this deck. But, you know, Knight of Wands in reverse, this is like in and out behavior, bit wishy-washy, here for a good time, not for a long time, here for a, you know, a phrase in a book, not a chapter, you know? Just wondering whether you just feel that somebody might have been a bit of a player, you know, might have talked the talk and a bit immature, Cancer, whatever this might mean for you, which you don't see coming towards you. Look at this, the Chariot. This is moving forward, moving on. Is this you, Cancer? Good for you, if that's the case, right? Okay, your energetic field is the Four of Cups in reverse. So the Four of Cups talks about apathy. We can be apathetic towards love and connections after we've gone through some shit, right? Normal, guys. But the Four of Cups in reverse would talk about your energetic field. You want to open up again. So, you know, when we're going through certain situations with certain people, places and things, we don't see what's around us because we have this tunnel vision on the hurt and the pain or whatever's gone down, right? So your energetic field is you're slowly opening up to new possibilities. You know, you might start noticing people, you know, that have been in your periphery, but you just haven't seen them because you've been focused elsewhere, right? Normal, Cancer. Outside influences, we've got the King of Swords here. Now, this can be The King of Swords, it can be a doctor. For those of you, this might be, a surgeon. I'm just saying, for those of you that, have suffered with your back, okay, and it's affected your work, or it's cost you money, especially if you're self-employed, right? But, outside influences, we've got the King of Swords here. So this is a truth teller. This is someone that's pretty cold and blunt with their words. Just wondering whether somebody might switch up a little bit, Cancer. One day they act like a knight and then a king, and it's kind of like, I'm not finding any stability here with this person. What have I got today? This immature, Knight of Swords, and then suddenly the King of Swords. You fear heartbreak, Cancer. Who doesn't? All right, but you especially, you're very feeling people, but you fear heartbreak. No time for it. You do your best to avoid it, but just wondering whether somebody might have been a bit immature, or they're going to be immature throughout the last couple of weeks of September, and you're thinking, what's this all about? And the outcome is a brand new beginning, okay? With the wild card here, it's an ending and a brand new beginning. So the story of Tarot, we have the Fool. He goes on his journey throughout Tarot, story of consciousness, if you like. And along the way, he learns, wisdom. He learns from experiences, and then he reaches the world, and then he starts a new cycle as the Fool again, adding to his collection of wisdom. So it's a card of great growth, Cancer. Okay, let me clarify this reading now. We'll go a little bit deeper as to, what's going down here. Use this deck for that. So, why is the Ace of Pentacles in reverse? Remember, it's a lack of a stable offer. Can be, taking a financial hit, feeling left out in the cold and don't have enough, some kind of betrayal, It can be self-betrayal. But as I say, some of you, again, there's many scenarios, guys, so, that you'll have many different stories, but it could be backer problems, okay? Let's have a look. So why is the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, Cancer, right, for you, the last couple of weeks of September? Look at that, clarified by the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Again, it's double clarification. It's uncanny that, right? But wasn't stable. Yeah, it's like, the challenge for you, Cancer, is, why is it always such an unnecessary struggle? Is this the people that you've been dealing with? Why can't they show up and, be intimate? Intimacy, why are they acting like the Knight of Wands in reverse here? Yeah, they might talk the talk and, give me all these stories, but, is that stable? Your water. Yeah, and the reason why it's all happening, some kind, you felt betrayed. It can be a perceived betrayal, Cancer, and you don't feel that you can heal from it. I think your trust might have been broken, like people making promises and not following through. Again, I want to be with the Cancer, these kind of things, but on my terms, it's not. There's no reciprocity there. It really is about my way or the highway, But great talk, yeah, sounds great, but there's nothing stable there. And so, the reason why it's all happening is you felt betrayed and you don't see yourself healing from it, or the situation being healed. Can you heal it? Yeah, look, recent past, Cancer, we've got, remember I was saying to you about, talking the talk and let's be together and all these, if we're talking about love, that is, all right? Or it could be about, something legal, yeah, this is moving forward, yeah, you're going to win, we've got a great case and all these kind of things, and then it's not moving forward, It was just the Knight of Swords getting carried away there by delivering positive messages without really thinking it through, Might come across as the King of Swords, more mature, but really they're just the Knight. So some of you might have had legal cases handled, and there might have been a little bit, what's that word I'm looking for, guys? Not malpractice, but incompetence, I think. All right. Your focus is the Knight of Wands in reverse. All right. So it's a focus of yours, I think, Cancer. Those of you that have been dealing with people, there's nothing stable coming through. Ace of Pentacles, double clarification there, right? why is it always such an unnecessary struggle? Is this person secretly playing me? All right, with the moon here, this is a focus of yours. All right, so it's like untold truths, lying by omission. Yeah, you talk a great talk, but nothing's moving forward here. You know, what you don't see coming towards you is the Chariot, and then we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse, which is kind of interesting. Some of you might leave the Knight of Swords, this Knight of Swords, out in the dust and move on, move forward. Others of you, this is you moving forward without telling anybody. So those of you, let's say you didn't get that promotion that you were hoping you were going to get at your workplace. You're actually going to be secretly looking for other employment and not telling anybody about it. You might be moving pretty covertly, okay, when it comes to these kind of matters, all right? Because, we've got betrayals here. Can you trust those around you, Cancer? All right? Knight of Wands in reverse and the moon, it's a focus of yours. Again, it's about moving in secret, not telling everybody. They don't need to know. It's on a need to know basis, all right? Your energetic field is slowly opening up, maybe noticing suitors and these kind of things. And then we've got the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, all right? You're not looking to rush into anything, Cancer, I don't think, that your energy is, yeah, I'm open to seeing where things go, meeting new people, starting to notice people after I've been betrayed and all these kind of things, all right? Takes time to heal, guys. But you don't want to jump straight into something and build with somebody straight away. Your trust has been broken, and trust is earned, not given, Cancer, right? Some of your energy is, just getting over the disappointment of a financial loss. And as I say, some of you, it might have been something to do with, some form of betrayal when it comes to legal systems, these kind of things. Others of you, it might be, back problems, like these, outside influences. We've got the King of Swords here and the Ace of Cups, all right? Just for a select few of you, there might be an air sign, all right? They might have a heavy air in that chart. They're mature, King of Swords, and then the Ace of Cups. This is an outside influence. This could be a brand new person in the periphery, or you just met them, or they're around you, Cancer, all right? And it's a brand new offering of love here. This could be somebody that, didn't move forward with you, spoke the talk, talked the talk, but didn't walk the walk. They might try to man up now and it's the Ace of Cups, all right? Which is great. It's talking about romance and these kind of things, but, can you feel it? Can you touch it? Can you see it with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse? It can be like the Knight of Swords is switching up his game and going, right, okay, how can I do this? Say different things now to get somebody on board, So you might see a little bit of shape-shifting, all right, from somebody. Cancer, heads up. You fear heartbreak. You fear repeating the past, Cancer, okay? It's a fear of yours. Will the past come back to bite me in the heels again? We've got the Six of Cups here. Sometimes when we go through heartbreaks and things like that, things cluster. So let's say we were heartbroken as a child, and then in our adult life we get betrayed again. So our primary caregivers, our parents, let us down or betrayed us, something along those lines, right? I'm just giving you an example. And then what happens is when we go into adult life and then we have a romantic relationship and then there's betrayal again, the old feelings from childhood are now clustered with this new betrayal and it becomes huge. And yeah, I think a fear of yours is repeating the past, So Cancer, this is quite interesting, all right? The outcome for you is you are going to avoid shitty situations, anything that's not built on a solid foundation. Ace of Pentacles in reverse, remember that, right? With the World, brand new beginnings, endings and new beginnings. And I think you're slowly opening up to love. You're not jumping in and moving in with people, all right? Because you realize that the Ten of Pentacles takes time to work together with somebody, but it's got to be grounded from the off. Words, bullshit. Was it say money talks and bullshit walks, right? So I think you are open to new offers and new suitors, and looking around, and starting to look at love again for some of you, but you're not willing to jump into anything too soon. So anyone that wants to try and lock Cancer down, now keep it moving. That's not cool. And it's not healthy. When people try to lock people down too soon, it's unhealthy. Normally the shit hits the fan after you've been locked down and the real character comes out. So watch out for that, Cancer. But you look, the outcome for you last couple of weeks of September is, and then some of you might be traveling. Okay, just saying with the world card there. Some of you might be traveling to somewhere, geographically speaking, that's a little bit unstable, like war zones, or, there's some instability wherever you might be going, like a danger zone and these kind of things. All right. It's not sinister, guys. All right. But it's endings and brand new beginnings, and you're leaving anything that doesn't have a solid foundation. You're willing to let tower moments crumble. All right. So it's good, Cancer. Let's have a look. Excuse me, guys. I've been reading all morning. My throat is so dry. Let's have a look. So Cancer, I just want to have a look at this, all right? The Knight of Swords in the recent past, all right? With the Chariot in reverse, which is, yeah, let's do this, and want to be with you, and I want to build with you, Cancer, and see a future with you, but nothing is moving, The Eight of Pentacles in reverse. It's not solid, is it? It's an interesting card, all right? In the recent past, my silence is not a game. Please leave me be. I'm just wondering whether you communicated that you didn't feel the chariot moving. Nothing's moving. We're not going in the same direction here. Did you communicate that, Cancer? And your silence wasn't a game. I'm just wondering whether there's somebody around you, Cancer, that still believes it's possible, and they're trying to man up from the Knight of Swords to the King of Swords here, and go with the big great offering of love, and that's not what it's about, is it? It's about something grounded and solid, because your focus is playerism, or the Knight of Wands in reverse, immature behavior in secret, just confusing people. I can do better than you. I've come to know this. This is your focus, Cancer. And I think really, Cancerians, I've always said it on this channel, you are the home makers, People come to you for a home. For some reason, that's what Cancerians do. You normally love food and great cooks and all these kind of things, right? But, the home is a sanctuary for you. And you want to be careful who you're leaving or letting into your table, Certainly, I've said it before for you guys, the Knight of Wands, he'll turn up for dinner, your beautiful home-cooked meal, and drink your wine, and still have his coat on, But you've come to... You might look, Cancer. Just watch this, okay? You might be in two minds throughout the last couple of weeks of September that you'd like to try it again, okay? Maybe the King of Swords here is manning up a little bit here, once a little bit immature. You might be ignoring the red flags with the Knight of Wands in reverse there and the Moon, and you might like to try again. And there's part of you that feels that you can do better. So how that would play out, Cancer, don't settle. That's what it's saying. Some of you potentially could settle for something, all right, which might not be that stable. Why is that here? There are too many people involved in this. It doesn't have to be a third party, guys. That could just be, sometimes we get involved with people and they have really busy social lives and there's no quality time together, all right? So where's the home, coming around to dinner with their coat on, all right, Cancer? Too many people involved in this. And then we've got, I'd like to feel that way again. So, maybe there was some really positive stuff and all this kind of thing, but it's just not solid, Cancer. You love that feeling, But you might be throughout the last couple of weeks of September just thinking, you know what, I'm looking for something a bit more stable, okay? Um, I want to come out of this feeling of lack and feeling burdened. Cancer, what's going on? I chose my friends and family over you. There are too many people involved in this. Do you know what I mean, Cancer? So it's like it can be a bit like you're dating a musician, for example. Just giving you a little analogy here, and you fall in love with this musician, male or female, right? And then you go, wow, they're so talented and handsome and pretty or whatever, and you fall in love with this musician. But what you fail to realize is that's their life. That's what they do for a living. And so once you're bored with listening to their same songs every night of the week and going to their gigs, which are at nighttime, right? And you've got lives to lead, you then imagine yourself sitting down in a bar or restaurant or in a concert hall, wherever they play, and you're there alone watching them on stage. And then they've got the sociability of it all. So, there are too many people involved in this. I just wondered whether you could get something real and tangible from someone, Cancer, something solid, maybe the nature of their lifestyle, I want to reach out, but not totally unsure of the reception I would get. Is that this person, Cancer? You know? You know, are they going to come with a big offering of love? It doesn't have to be throughout the last couple of weeks of September, guys, but this might be on the cards, on the cards. But, they might man up and have a big show of love, but is it grounded and solid? Can they carry through, follow through, you know? What you don't see coming towards you is moving on, all right, and not really talking about it here. I wish we could do it all again differently. This might be you, Cancer, seeing the other person move on. They want to reach out, not sure of the reception they would get. They might have regrets, And then we've got the King of Swords and the Ace of Cups, all right? And I hurt you too much. You would never take me back. Just watch out that, somebody doesn't come around with a big, big show of love, Cancer. You've got to base it certainly on the past, and change takes time. It's all very well talking the talk. They've got to walk the walk, right? And something solid and tangible. Has there been transformation? I wanted to date you and not your family. It doesn't have to be your bloodline. Your family can be your soul family, your fellow musicians, your colleagues at work. If you're dating a policeman and you're not a police woman, along those lines, and they kind of like socialize together. Maybe you didn't want that. That might have played an important part. And then we got, I needed attention for all the wrong reasons, and you gave it freely, too freely. And sometimes what can happen, Cancer, when you're loving, okay, and you're there, and you give people attention, if they are toxic, they can see it as neediness, all right? And that you're a pushover, you're a doormat, you're a walk in the park. It's purely because you're loving. But if they're coming from a toxic place, they see it as needy, and they feel that they can take advantage of that or treat you with disrespect. So just wondering whether that's, some of the people you might have been meeting or encountering, they might have taken your kindness as foolishness. Does that make sense? All right? Don't let them do that, Cancer. Outcome, all right? It's a great outcome. I want to go a little... Where was it going to go? The outcome, yeah. So the world, right? So it's an ending, brand new beginning, avoiding tower moment. Anything that's not built on solid foundation, Cancer is prepared to leave it behind. What is that all about? Whatever this might mean, Cancer, make this, apply this how you will. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to go quite wide on this table to spread that out. But I'm protective of you. Sorry if I seem controlling. Whatever that might mean, Cancer, have a think about that and how it might apply to your specific situations, okay? Again, it's not a personal reading, you know, they take a completely different flavor, more direct and concentrated. But what's going to be quite important for you, Cancer? An interesting character, though. Someone, I think they kind of like want to man up. I just don't know whether they can do it. They might talk the talk, all right? So just watch out for that. What I'm saying is don't settle, Cancer, you know? And don't let people treat you like a doormat, you know? Don't let them take your kindness as foolishness. You know, move towards people that are grateful and thankful of your kindness, you know? It's called reciprocation, right? Reciprocity. Self-expression, Cancer. Speak up, all right? Color blue might be very significant. Of course it is. You're a water sign, okay? But there is quite a lot of blue in this reading. Communication, speaking up, visualization, individuality, inner voice. Listen to your inner voice and be assertive, Cancer. No settling. I think that's what this reading is all about. Inner child, playfulness, lightheartedness, innocence, and wonder. Solar plexus, you know, some of you might decide to do, you know, in secret with the moon there, some inner child work, you know. But that's, you know, back to this is your energetic field, right? Opening up again, you know, with a little bit of playfulness and lightheartedness. And home, I can't make this up, can I? Home, the homemakers of the zodiac. Shelter, safety, nurturing, and warmth, Cancer. So the home might be quite key. You know, again, back to, do you want to invite, you know, people with their coats still on to your table, Cancer, you know? So it seems quite balanced, you know, but I'm looking at chakras and things like here. You know, you might find a lot of balance within, okay? And slowly opening up again and looking at new suitors, possibilities, people that you haven't noticed before, Cancer. You're willing to end things that aren't built on a solid foundation, okay? Something you might be really looking into, caring versus controlling. There's a fine line, isn't there? Hey, it's 1 a.m., where are you? Hey, it's 1 a.m., babe, are you okay? Caring versus controlling, you know? So some of you might look at subjects like that, all right? But the home might be very, very important to you, Cancer, throughout the last couple of weeks. And you want to feel secure. Some of you, you know, inner child work, but certainly speaking up about your boundaries, you know, this is what I'm looking for, you know, can you show up? You know, are we on the same page or are we moving in different directions? You know, self-expression can be being honest with oneself, having, you know, a sit down, you know, as if you were your best friend, becoming your best friend and having a strong chat and saying, is this working? Yes, there's love or whatever, these kind of things. And I'd love to enjoy that feeling, but is this, you know, tangible? Is it solid? Ace of Pentacles in reverse twice, right? Cancer. So, you know, you might have a couple of weeks there of really doing a bit of inner work, speaking up, realizing what it is you need. You know, your wants can be compromised, but your needs, no. And if you need stability, Cancer, you know, I think it's called show, don't tell. You know, when we're talking about, you know, writing books and things like that, show, don't tell. It's all about, you know, words are empty, you know, and the story should convey the message, not just the words. There's got to be sentiment and depth behind it. And, you know, the Ace of Pentacles is something solid, you know, something you can get your teeth into, Cancer, and go, I can build with this, you know. Let's have a look. Something that might be quite key for you, Cancer, throughout the last couple of weeks of September, something to really pay attention to. I've already taken from this deck, but this is just something that's going to be very, very much key, all right? And sometimes it repeats, the messages repeat. Forgiveness, letting go, healing, growth, and compassion. And some of you are moving on. You're willing to let the tower fall because it just wasn't solid enough for you, okay? If you're a song, Cancer, throughout the last couple of weeks of September, lyrics might mean something, the band might mean something, the melody might evoke certain feelings within you that are just brought up to the surface for healing, right? Gymnopodes, number 1, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, by Eric Satie. It's an instrumental piece of music. And if I go back to those cards, it's beautiful and it's super relaxing. And, I just imagine Cancerians there with their dining table, beautiful cooked meal, nice bottle of wine, and, feeling secure and safe in their home and, not wanting anyone to disrupt their peace. Okay. So check that song out. Instrumental, obviously not a song, but I think it was French. This has come up in another reading. Not sure whether it was Cancer or somebody else, but if it is about love, Cancer, let's have a look. Some messages for love. Those of you that are dating, those of you that are in romantic situations. Let's have some messages for love for you guys. What to possibly expect throughout the last couple of weeks. Cancer. Engagement. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. So, is that this King of Swords that's going to man up? Okay. And this is where you can become assertive, Cancer, and say, hey, look, you know what? The grand show of love and all that. Yes, it's beautiful. But you know what? What about building something solid? Okay. And that's self-expression, Cancer. Don't get carried away with the romance of it all. That's what it's saying. That's easy, isn't it? But we have to eat and we have to survive. So relationships are built. There's many different faculties, or many different elements to relationships. Money being one, right? Retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. Okay. So, some of you might go away together. There's two people in that card, all right? Stay optimistic about your love life. For those of you that, going through situations like that where you're willing to let things go because they just weren't showing up, they were very Knight of Wands and in and out and wishy-washy and immature, you're moving on, you're in secret, you're not really talking about it, no big exits, some of you opening up again, to the possibility, but you're not going to jump into it and get engaged and move in together. You want to take it slow, because you want to find out who you're dealing with and where are we going? Are we on the same page before it's too late, right? Stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. Remember the difference, Cancer, between hope and faith. Hope is a piss poor word. Faith. Have faith that you're going to meet someone healthy that you can build with, and and here's another one: reconciliation. Someone from your past is returning to your life, right? So, just for a select few, there might be someone that's manning up and coming back. They want to reach out, unsure of how you might react. Maybe they were wishy-washy in the past, and now they kind of like want to man up a little bit. Just make sure that they can follow through, Cancer. Use your intuition. You're highly intuitive people, and cut through the bullshit. And is this feasible? Is this practicable? Heard it all before. If that's making sense to you. I did a song for you. One of these, right? Final message, guys. Oh, actually, I just want to look at that Knight of Swords, all right? I will clarify that in a second. What's that all about? Manning up or trying to, show up in the right way. Self-esteem. Some of you, all right, watch your self-esteem. Don't settle, for anything throughout the last couple of weeks of September. Worthiness, Cancer. It's like, when our self-esteem is low, we'll accept things that aren't for our highest good, so just watch that. Self-esteem. The color yellow might be quite significant, okay? Solar plexus, sense of self. Where was I going to? I just wanted to have a look at this character over here, this Knight of Swords. Might have heavy air in their chart. Let's have a look. What's this all about? This Ace of Cups, King of Swords. I like the togetherness I feel with you. And then we've got, I mistook friendship for romance. Cancer. Whatever that might mean for you. How does that fit into this person suddenly wanting to show up? I mistook friendship for romance. You know, some of you might have communicated with someone that, you know, you had feelings or whatever, and nothing moved forward. They weren't, you know, getting on the same page, and you know, maybe you just put it down to it was a friend and nothing else. These kind of things, all right? So that's an outside influence in this reading. So guys, look, you know, oh, one of these actually, positive message. I always leave readings with this. You've got a long reading today, Cancer, 35 minutes. Let's have a look, Cancer. Give and receive love. Give love with a generous heart and receive love with an open heart. But obviously do it with boundaries, Cancer, all right? So, you know, stay loving. Be open. You are opening up again. Just be careful who you're letting in, all right? Be discerning. I think that's what it's saying. So I hope you enjoyed that. My name is Drew. This is Modern Tarot. If you like the content, please like, share, or subscribe. It means I can continue to do this for free for you. If you want a personal reading, you can reach out at moderntarot.net directly, or browse the YouTube Modern Tarot store for personal reading. And I'll do my best to give you some clarity on your personal situations. In the meantime, Cancer, have an amazing last 2 weeks of September, and I'll see you back here for another reading. Take care. Bye.